So Tony, you've been at St Mirren as a player twice,
Yeah.
club captain, manager twice. Now you're back as chief exec. What keeps bringing you back?
I think, Scott, you just need to look behind me there and see what brings you back. Not just that, I think the whole... I've had a long time, since 12 years of age actually, I came to train with St Mirren at the old stadium, Love Street. And for that day, it's amazing, and I always remember after a training session, walking up the stairs, the old terracings that was there, and it was a summer's night, and I just finished, and I was standing at the top of the terracing and looking down to that famous Love Street Park. And I think everybody has this in life, whether it's a house, you walk in and say, this is for me, or whatever it is. And I always remember looking down into Love Street and thinking, I want to play here. This is where I want to play. And I had that great feeling, the tingling feeling you get in my stomach and behind my neck. And that was at 12 years of age. So, and you're right, I mean, from there I've been sort of assistant groundsman, I painted the stadium, community coach. I've done every job within St Mirren Football Club. And it's, as you say, incredible when you even mention chief executive. I don't even think I've taken that in yet.
So what kind of roles and duties do you have then as chief executive?
Well, it's overseeing everything, and that's what I'm saying is when you come into a football club, most people look at the football park and the players on the park, and but it's a massive animal, a football park, and it's so oversee everything from the football side. I don't pick the teams, I don't influence anything like that, but oversee everything, make sure everything's right there for the manager and the players and everything's running smoothly there. Oversee the commercial side, for the health and safety of the stadium, absolutely everything that you can imagine a football club community is to sort of oversee that. So it's a massive responsibility.
And after the takeover in the summer, how important is it that you keep a conversation with the fans throughout?
I think that is vital. I think communication, and I think that's something the Gordon Scott's, since he's come in, has done very, very well. No, it's been exciting times behind the scenes now, although on the park it's been a struggle. But behind the scenes, since the takeover, since Gordon's come in, we've looked at various ways of improving the stadium, because the stadium's never really been upgraded for a long time. We've got our own academy, of course, as well, which needs a lot of work to it. But the big thing with that is getting the message out to the supporters, and I think that's improved dramatically. We've got our new website up and running, which is quite exciting as well. Interaction with fans. There's many polls going on that because this is the fans' club. You know, in 10 years' time, they take ownership of this, and I think it's vital you do have that communication with your supporters, let them know what's happening.
And you probably couldn't have asked for a tougher start than what you've had. You've had to replace your manager, team are bottom of the league.
Oh, I know.
It's can you put your finger on kind of what went wrong?
I think there's no blame here when I'm saying this. If you go back 7 years when the club get put up for sale, and to be fair, Stuart, Gilmer and the rest of the directors have done such a wonderful job to get to get the old stadium sold, bring us here. But then the message to everybody, and they admitted this themselves, was they were tired, they wanted out, clubs for sale. So it's went on for 7 years that. So you can't just come in, like say Gordon just coming in and taking over, myself just coming into the job. I'm only about 7 or 8 months in the job. To dramatically change that within a matter of a year, it's not going to happen. So that's not putting blame on anything, that's just fact which has happened. So we've now hopefully, it's like any business or like anything, when you call the sort of sigmoid curve, when you go up and then there's a decline, you either decline or you go forward in growth. And we've actually declined quite a bit, so we've stopped to decline. Now it's getting that, pointing in the right direction. Now we feel we're doing that. We feel with the new management team in as well, Gordon coming in, there's David Nichols on the board from the SMISA, the Fans Council. All these things are exciting things. We've also, you see the disabled platform getting built, so that's going to make the stadium like a gold stadium, gold charter, sorry, Scott, stadium. There's exciting plans for St Mirren, exciting plans for St Mirren. Now we're not getting away from the fact just now we're struggling on the park, but that happens when people lose confidence. It's like anybody in life. Players are human beings. When you get into losing games and things go against you, but I do still believe in this team greatly, and I believe in the manager and James Fowler, the assistant manager. We've got a fantastic academy run by Alan McManus. We've got great young players coming through. There's 4 or 5 in the team just now who bigger clubs in England and abroad, believe it or not, are starting to look at. So although we're bottom of the league in the first division, and I hate to say that, it's still positive here. We still believe in our plan. It's never going to run smooth, but we knew when we took this on, it was going to be a hard job, but we will get back into that Premier League.
Now, I've mentioned your various roles, but I suppose one of your major, probably the biggest one of them all, is a supporter.
Yeah.
So how was the defeat to Greenock Morton? How was that for the club?
Well, do you know, Scott, as you can see, that was just last night. You could probably tell in my face I'm trying to be happy and joyful. But it's I was brought up, as you say, for a 12-year-old, Morton was my rival. It was St Mirren's rival. And that was your major team. That was the one you had to beat. And when you get defeated, and that happened last night, and that's the first time in 17 years or so, it was hard to take, and it is hard to take today. I'm standing in front of you now, but inside I'm sick. My stomach's turning still, thinking I was getting beat. But that's what drives you on in life. When I seen that, and it had to happen sometime, but we wanted it to be in another 50 years before we get defeated by Morton. But it's been done, so we pick ourselves up and we get on with it, and we make sure we go another 17 years before they beat us again.
So looking forward and maybe hopefully to a brighter future, why did you bring in Jack Ross? What was his main attributes? Well,
I think the main attributes are, I think when you look at him, he's young for a start, young manager. He's ambitious, he's focused, he's done very well. He was a player here, so he knows the club. He had a successful career here as a player. The fans love him. But he's a good manager. He's your modern type manager. I think I've watched his training and stuff. Fantastic, high intensity with the players. His man management, the way he sort of treats players. I think we've got a real good partnership in Jack Ross and James Fowler. Now, James himself was manager of Queen of the South, took him to 4th place. And that's what I'm saying now. I know we're bottom of the league, but these guys coming in, I think he's got all the qualities to become a real top manager in the game.
So can you explain to me St Mirren's short-term and their long-term goals?
Yeah, the short-term goals really were, and when we came in we said, look, let's stabilise the club. I mean, there's been too many, if you look over recently, how many managers we had, the place has been unstable for a number of years. So the decision was taken, and Jack's now in, and that'll be a long-term appointment. We've done that, and it's about now building the foundations properly. Back to the beginning, and it will be a hard road, like if any business starts off, and let's say it's a business, but this is more than a business as we know. It will, so short-term is to stabilise the club, which we will do, and this year I'm always a sort of a dreamer. I'd love to think we'd still aim for 4th place and try and get in the playoffs, and who says we can't do that if we go on a run. But generally what the plans are is to stabilise the club. Long term, when I'm talking about the next 3 to 5 years, we want to be back in the Premier League. We must be back in the Premier League. You look behind us with the stadium there. It's fantastic setup we've got our own academy. This is a Premier League club. This is a top 6 Premier League club. We happen to be at the bottom of the first division, and some people say, guy's crazy. Back in the shoe, within 5 years, this club will be back in the Premier League.
And go back to your career yourself.
Yeah.
How important was Sir Alex Ferguson in your career?
Oh, he was incredibly important. It was, and that's one of the reasons as well. That was installed in us for a young kid when he came in. I was sort of 16, coming up for 17 when he came in, and he was so important to this football club. I mean, we lived off him for the next 15 years after he'd been here for 3 years. We lived off him for the further 15 years. He had an incredible impact in the whole community, the whole Paisley and Renfrewshire. He was very important to me personally. He changed my life round, making me captain at 17 when I was really struggling to get in the team, and I was a wee boy at the time. And he changed my life with showing belief in me and made us captain very early in my age, as I said, and then built a real foundation, real young, hungry, energetic team that wanted to win things. And that's what we need to get back to here. We need to build that winning mentality and getting the community, which we're massive in, getting the community behind this club again, really feeling the passion, because I felt that all the 40 years ago or so. I felt that even as a kid when I walked down the street. Grannies, grandfathers, families would wanted St Mirren to do well, and that's the feeling we need to get back into this club.
And for you, what was your standout moment during your every tenure? What's the one moment that stands out for you?
The one I could turn around and say the 1987 Cup winning team. There were so many, but I'll be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this for take, every time, and I was one of these people, every time I put on a St Mirren jersey and made the first team, but probably that, when I was sort of 16 and a bit, coming up for 17, I put on a St Mirren jersey in the first team for the first time, and being captain of the club, and having that wee band on your thing. That's probably the highlight of my whole career, although I was fortunate, as I say, winning the first division under Sir Alec, and then winning the Scottish Cup and managing the team, all these things. But that moment, being captain, putting that St Mirren jersey on to lead a team out, lives with me.
And this is a question I'm trying to ask as many people as possible. Yeah. If you could improve one thing about Scottish football, what would it be?
If I could improve, I think, how could I say, it's a difficult one. There's many things, but if I could improve Scottish football, we'd be giving more youngsters a chance, giving more of our young talent a chance in Scotland. I always feel negative when I hear the radio shows, everybody, we've no young talent, we've not got this. There is young talent out there, and it's just giving them an opportunity. We do that at this club. We've got 4 or 5 of them in regular in my team now, and they're flourishing. And if that's something I could like to change, would be giving more youngsters a chance.
And Tony, you mentioned you had another passion outside of football. Do you kindly explain more, please?
Yes, Scott, thank you. The other passion is, believe it or not, is writing children's stories. And I can hear my old teacher in the background, our teacher shouting, Fitzpatrick, write a book. Well, it's possible, and that's what I'd say to anybody. If you knew my background, I was very, very uneducated, probably still am, but this book came about, I believe, it was through a sadness really, but became great joy, because my son, and I'll explain about it if you don't mind, Scott, the book's a legacy for my son Tony. My son Tony, when he was 4.5 years old, he just had started school, had took very unwell, and we found out what he had an illness called acute myeloid leukemia, which was an adult form of leukemia in a child. And it was very difficult for Tony then, because we're going back a number of years ago. The treatments are a lot better now, but they never had the right treatments in the days to try and counteract this disease. So Tony was 4.5 years old, but he fought away. He really fought hard, and at 6.5, he sadly passed away. And but Tony, when he was born, my daughter, I used to call my daughter was firstborn, I used to call her, I'd got this nickname for some reason, I used to call her Baba Coochie. It might be just the Baba Coochie, so I called her that. But my son Tony was born, and he was sort of, he had a lot of hair in his head, not like his dad, but he had a lot of hair, and he was hairy, and he looked like a wee bear to me, so I called him Baba Coochie Bear. And Tony loved that, he loved that wee nickname, Baba Coochie Bear. So that's where that comes from. This is wee character, Baba Coochie Bear. The rainbows plays a big part in the story because myself and my wife walked out of York Hill Hospital, sadly, when Tony had passed away, and we walked into the car park, and I looked up, and there was a stunning double rainbow in the sky, absolutely stunning. And it was a strange thing because every time I looked at this rainbow, I felt peace. And maybe I was looking for something, but I was saying to myself, oh, Tony's fine, Tony's okay. So that's where Baba Coochie, the rainbow. Also, Tony used to get treatment in the hospital. He'd stay in for months at a time, and he would get blood and different things into his arm, and he'd walk about with this big, what would you call it? Drip. Drip. So he'd be kicking the ball about. So I replaced that with this, it's called a peace pole. And there's a simple message on a peace pole, and it says, may peace prevail on earth. And I think everybody wants that in life. And Baba Coochie's been given, the first book's about the promise together again. And it's generally touching on bereavement, anti-bullying's in it, and a bit about the environment and relationships and stuff. But generally it was bereavement, because when Tony did sadly pass, I found it very difficult to sort of speak about it to my daughter, who was 8.5 at the time, coming up for 9. Me and my daughter and my wife found that it was hard to speak about him. I even felt it when we walked outside. Neighbours would cross the road because they were scared in case they upset you. So that was something that always was in my mind. I always thought, and my daughter used to say to me, she always remembered me telling stories and stuff like that. So I thought, if I could touch on something, it would help kids or help anybody, adults, through bereavement. Because we're scared to ask questions, and so through maybe a parent or a teacher reading this story to kids, they start to ask questions about it. So that was the reason behind the book. Baba Coochie's been given the great gift when he places a peace pole on the ground and says, may peace prevail on earth, a beautiful rainbow appears. And he walks children through the rainbow. He walks adults as well, but he walks children through the rainbow to help other children throughout the world, to change the world which we have sort of made a mess of. So it's really working, Baba Coochie works through children's hearts to change the world we live in. That's the sort of main aim behind it as well. The first book here is called The Promise Together Again. Baba Coochie's taken the big bear Sabre through the rainbow to meet up with his son Theo, who's passed away, and they spend a day together in the magic forest talking about all the things they should have spoke about, playing in the swings, swimming, all the things you do with your son or daughter, and hopefully within it there's great messages about the bereavement side. And I'm saying, although it's a very sad how it happened, but it's been real positive, and there's great joy, because again, believing in I'll see my son again at the end of my life, I believe that totally. So that's where the joy comes in. I think, as I say, very important as well, Baba Coochie's got that message out to all children and everybody. It's a short life as well, so be a good citizen, show respect to the planet, respect to other people, respect to yourself. So these are all the messages within the book. If I could just plug quickly the next book, which is no so sort of strong as the bereavement side of things, but I think that was important to get that out, is now Baba Coochie, because my son was a normal wee boy. He could be cheeky at times, he could go into moods, he loved playing football, he always had a ball with him, similar to myself when I was a kid. So I came up with sort of probably a bit my own story in life, because when I was younger, when I was at St Mirren at 12, they were allowing me to go down to English teams and stuff like that for trials, and Aston Villa at the time told me I was too small, I would never be a football player, I was too frail, too thin. So the next book is about that, it's about Babacucci going through that journey, which a lot of kids still go through to this day, told they're no good enough, they're too small, no quick enough, all this nonsense, and which you've got to fight through, and Babacucci does that. And I'm honoured to see you mentioned the great, great man who's been a big influence in my life, Sir Alex Ferguson, and I met him in March there. We sort of spent a good day together speaking, and he knows about Babacucci and stuff, and I was telling him about the new book, because Babacucci's manager is going to be called Sir Alex Ferguson. And he was laughing, as you did there, Scott, and he was thinking, and it was fantastic, because he said, Tony, I'll love to do the foreword for it and endorse the book. So incredible, and that's the journey of Babacucci. But this is a great thing as well. We do, so as people realise as well, and it's Tony's legacy. We've already supported through the book and stuff, helped a village in Malawi to have a chicken house. They've got a children's land, they've got a wee creche. So any proceeds go towards that. Also, we've been fortunate enough, businesses have helped us to put into Robin's House, Callum's Cabin. There's a great charity here called The Brightest Star. I could mention so many, but we would like to, and as I've actually just become an ambassador, I'm really proud of this moment when I was asked to become an ambassador for Rays of Hope, which is it's really adults. It can be children, but it's adults with cancer, and their sort of sign is the rainbow, which is a big thing in my life. So there's a lot of exciting stuff. The next book's coming out, and it's been an incredible journey. And as I say, back to St Mirren, that's all been part of my life as well.